Excuse me. If you will, we're going to call this meeting to order. It is Tuesday, February the 20th. It is a regular meeting of the Williston City Council. It is 6 p.m. and we will ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Goodman, President Jones.
Did I tell you to stand up?
Not yet. Give it like 5 seconds. I hadn't been here in a while.
We're just anticipating.
I told you I missed you. I'm sorry. Excuse us. The clouds are playing in the back.
Again, President Jones.
Here.
Vice President Cox.
Here.
Councilmember Bullock, he's absent. Councilmember Hines.
Here.
City Manager Terry Bovard.
Here.
Attorney Kirsten Ballou.
Here.
City Clerk Latricia Wright, I am here. And all other staff and the ones that were standing up.
Here.
Here.
Thank you.
I thought I had mistakenly asked you to stand, but now I will. Please stand at this time for the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer by the mayor.
Father, we come here tonight as a community, and we ask your prayers on this meeting. I ask that you give blessings and wisdom to each member of the council and help them make the best decision they can. And Lord, I ask you to look over all of the city staff, all the city workers, especially the police and the fire department, those that we call the first responders. I ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you very much.
Am I not on? I am on. Is it not working? Okay. At this time, we are going to administer the oath of office to Miss Meredith Martin, our newest city council member.
Me, I, Meredith Martin, a citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America, being elected to Group C seat of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, do hereby swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the laws of the state of Florida, and the charter and ordinance of the City of Williston, and that I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state of Florida and the charter of the City of Williston, and that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. Thank you.
For the record, Mr. Bullock has arrived.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. We appreciate that. Okay, at this time, the mayor is item number 2, recognizing Friends of Cornelius Williams Community Park Committee as pioneers of the community. Charles Goodman, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I would like to ask that if the Friends of Cornelius Williams Park would join me up here. For those of you who are not aware, February is Black History Month. So for the month of February, we would like to share a brief Black history fact. Mr. Cornelius Williams was born here in Williston, Florida. He attended school in Levy County. He graduated from Florida A&M University with a BA degree in education and a master's degree in guidance counseling. Mr. Williams was indeed a community-minded person, known for helping people of all ages in the community. Recognized leader in his church as a deacon, a Sunday school teacher. He was involved in various organizations such as the Congress of Christian Education, Friendly Choirs Union, and others. He was highly recognized for his courage, and he received a permit from the city of Williston to have Martin Luther King Parade, followed by a scholarship banquet at the old Williston High School. Is anyone else hear that ring? I left my phone in my office, and it's ringing in my hearing aids. Technology is evil. He was married to Juanita Williams, and together they have a daughter, Vonda Williams. At age 83 and a retired educator, Mr. Cornelius Williams passed away on December 31st, 2007. Due to his community services, the city of Williston, for those of you that were not aware of it, named the park in his honor. The park is approximately 20-some plus acres, located off of U.S. Highway 27. It consists of various sports fields, picnic tables, playground, basketball court, soccer field, and a large walking area and bathrooms. Today, the Friends of Cornelius Williams Park are here today to continue to try to improve on the park dedicated to Mr. Cornelius Williams. And as the mayor of the city of Williston, it is my honor to give your organization this plaque, Certificate of Appreciation for the Friends of Cornelius Williams Community Park Committee as true pioneers in the community. And I know one of you the best, so I don't know who's your leader, but Jackie, could I hand this to you, please? And I'll give you this.
What we would do is just give you all just a very brief introduction to this committee. As we pioneered through the community, as I met many of you and how I met you. So if you hear a name of someone that you've known or worked under, and I say under their umbrella, under their tent, or under their pavilion, please just smile about it. I won't get everyone's name, but you would probably remember some of these people. So that's what I would like to try and do. I have a loud voice, so I'm just. Yeah, if you hear one of the names of someone that you worked under, I say as an umbrella, because we are umbrella under groups. If you're under a tent or pavilion, so some groups are bigger, some are smaller. So I always tell people to put yourself up under an umbrella, up under a tent or pavilion. And if you worked under some of these people, you're going to know. If you would just smile, nod your head, any of those things would be greatly appreciated. Before we do that, we have a banner that we would like for you guys to see. Mr. Cornelius Williams. We finally took a picture from his daughter and a picture from a young artist in Williston. And it brings tears to my eyes because it's taken us probably about 3 years to get this picture of Mr. Cornelius Williams. So if you've never met him and you're not sure what he looks like, this is Mr. Cornelius Williams, past and present. And this young man took this photo and he recreated that picture. And this is with work from Matt Brooks and his staff at B4 Signs. At this time, I would also like to, so that his daughter will have something to remember him as well, continue so we don't have to keep asking her a picture. I have taken those same pictures and had them framed to present to Vonda Williams, his daughter. Now, this committee that I work with, guys, they're really tough cookies, so they're saying we don't want to talk. I do all the talking, so for tonight, they will introduce themselves. I gave them a little cheat sheet, so they will just read their little cheat sheet and tell you about themselves.
I'm Cecilia Edwards. I'm the secretary of the group, and I'm also an educator of 30 years.
Most of you guys already know. But for you that don't, I'm Marvin Jones. I was a financial advisor for Park. I work very closely with everybody here, especially the board. And I want to thank you for everything you do.
We also have this at home. I am the silent movie of Tiger and families with one of the highest remember, and I am a pioneer. We also have Andrea Evans. She is a youth liaison and currently participating involved with the kids. She is a pioneer. We have Marquise Graham. He's a new artist of the community. His drawings help restore families remember their loved ones and is a pioneer of the And I am Erica Evans, media specialist. I share information with newspapers and others' lives and community on our frequent news newsletters. I am pioneer.
Okay, I have some other ones too. I am Jillian Edwards. I'm a youth coordinator. I am researching ways to keep our youth involved and participating in our community improvement. I am a pioneer of the community. I am Robert Wells. I am the financial am Gussie Boatwright. I am the publication liaison of the committee. I am also coordinator and member of the Martin Luther King Scholarship Banquet Committee. I'm a pioneer of the committee. And last, I am Sandra Harris. I'm a volunteer of the committee. I am also a coordinator of the Senior Citizen Community Program. I am a pioneer.
I am Demetrius Lee. I am a volunteer. I assist the community with setting up events and sharing with the community. I am a pioneer of the community.
Thank you. Okay. This was just a brief introduction of the committee. 2011, the committee started with a group called CSI, Citizens Seeking Improvements. It consisted of Jacqueline Knapp, Cecilia Edwards, Virginia Greenlee, Avis Seabrooks, Norm Fugate, Latricia Wright. I first met her there. We received a grant called the Plum Creek Grant for that particular year. Back in 2011, I also had donors with the newspaper and people that also was our media specialists. Tien Brock, Miss Tien, Mr. Arnold, and now we have the Levy County Citizen. That's the past and the present. I met Steve and Sharon Holcomb at George Bullock Elementary School in 2011, and he gave me this project because he heard I was involved in Project Playground. I also met Adam Hall, Patrick Miller, Chris Curry, who donated 250 plants to the park that I thought I could plant with a shovel. My dad and my brothers, yeah, and many of you remember that. I was determined I babysat plants for about a month. I was getting them in the ground one with the other. My mom, my dad, my brothers, and Frankie Jackson and many others helped to plant those plants, the crepe myrtle. So if you've never seen a beautiful, go out to that park when spring comes. I met Calvin Edwards Sr., Mr. Heathcote, Deborah Jones, Mark Nelson, Elihu Ross. I met Latricia again. I also met Nan and Gary Mack, C.J. Demoweski, Frankie Jackson, Jerry Robinson, Pastor Charles Williams, Mimi Johnson, Miss Wingo, Fred Oberling, and Michael Shoemaker. Some of these names you will remember. I also made contact with businesses such as Spar, Drummond's Bank, Hitchcock's, Winn-Dixie, anonymous donors. I also met the staff at the police department, Chief Stroll, Mike, Lamar at the fire department, all the staff that was there. I also met Laura Jones. Laura Jones introduced our group to what we call grants, the FERDAP grant. You had to really know about that thing to kind of understand it. But these were just a list of the churches, New Hope, Allen Chapel. Those were the churches and the people in the community that we met when we started this committee. The committee was reestablished with Justin Head. It became Jacqueline Laplin, Vonda William, Verdell Gary, Abba Fuller, Marvin, Erica, Gussie, and Sandra, Cecilia, Demetrius, and Veronica. We formed the committee again, we call a jump start. I would like to read you a quick poem in dealing with the committee. All committees have their own ups and downs. This committee is called Attitude, and I took this when I started working with the committee and also when I was teaching. It's called Attitude. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude in my life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than success, than what other people say and think or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, skills. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for that day. We can't change our past. We can't change the fact that people will act a certain way. We can't change anything. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% what I react to. And so if it is with you, we are in charge of our attitude. So if you keep that as a thought in your mind and don't let people whatever dump on you. And I have quite a bit of it, but like I said, I'm not going to keep you long. I met Laura Jones with grants. We started having events at the park. We had many grants that came about, and she's still working hard along with other people to do grants. FERDAP, like I said, just stay with me because it's like a creeper. It's one of those things you try to understand, and she walked me through understanding what FERDAP, because I wanted it right then. It's like, there's money out there, I know it is. She walked me through understanding how that works and the whole process of grant writing. So I thank you, Laura, for being a pioneer in the community. The next thing we did were events, and we're going to just share some of the banners that were reproduced by anonymous donors as well as B for Sons. So some of them can stretch those out, please. These are traveling banners that travel with us each time we have an event. This was one that if you all remember, some of you might remember, we had our first forum, community forum at the park. And everyone in the city council was invited to come out and share with the community your job and what you did in the community. And it was called Freedom to Be All You Can Be. And so this banner was displayed at that event. And it made a big impact because all of you all came, many showed up at the park, and introduced yourself to the citizens. And it made a difference because they knew and understood you and what you were doing in the community. There was another banner. As we do movies at the park, we have banners that were displayed for the movies. Desmond Home will be doing our next movie on March the 30th here at the Pavilion, a remake, and it's going to be in Kendrick. We had movies that we had at the park called Frozen. Latricia will remember the first time we had a movie night at the park. If you know where the park's at, down by the bathroom, we froze. Exactly what it said, it was frozen. We had army blankets. We had donated army blankets. We had hot chocolate. We had everything we could, but we really froze during that time, our first movie. After that, we moved up to the basketball court. So it was a little bit, not warmer, but it's a little bit better. So you see the little pictures of Frozen. All the kids know about Frozen. So those were some of the events that we had at the park. To do those events, we had to have someone to make us safe and keep us safe. That's when I went to Mike over there. And I said, Mike, Lamar, you guys, and everybody at the fire department and all, they're looking at me like, yes, can you please come and help us? They gave us that security. Anytime we had an event, they showed up. And we appreciated that because they were our police officers, our fire department. It also gave the children an opportunity to see the people in the community that was keeping them safe. This banner came about with children because I felt like if adults couldn't show how strong they were for a project, kids could. Leandra Evans, you guys might remember, at 3rd grade, she gave me this vision along with that big oak tree out there. And it was how can we use kids and get the park focused around kids. Wherever there's kids, there will be parents. Get those kids and they want to do it, parents are going to show up. Mama, let's go to the park. And that's kind of what we work with. And it says our motto, we are stronger working together for our community. And if you show your muscles, you all the community is stronger what you do. So that became our events. Thank you, guys. I also met several people when we were doing grants back with Laura. We traveled to Tallahassee. Mr. Ball remember that. We traveled to Tallahassee again to apply for a grant, the African American grant. So Laura went, Gussie, Sonia K, Mr. Boatwright, I call him Mr. B. We traveled to Tallahassee. That grant came through. So if you guys read the newspaper, I'm always cutting everything out. My daughter so many get rid of some of this stuff. It was in the newspaper. It became a sports complex. And it was a grant. To the city staff, anytime we had an event, all I do is say, Latricia, we have an event. Trash cans were there. Anything we needed. Set up. Cones. Okay, for a long time we used cones and yarns to keep the kids safe at the park. We finally had a donation with Dennis Davis and Wright Piers. We got focused on getting some safety out there. There are now guide wires are donated by SPARS. So now you can't drive all over the park. It was crazy out there. People were driving all over the park. Kids, cars don't mix. So that's donated. So if you ever go out to the park, you see where those guide wires were donated. And I'm getting to the bottom of it. Some of the events that we had at the park, and you guys might remember because many of you showed up. Miss Deborah can tell you about cleanup day at the park. There's many you can tell about the first Easter egg hunt at the park. If you haven't had kids go crazy for Easter egg, they don't want anything but that dollar that's in it. They were taking the eggs, opening them up. If it was $1, the egg stayed there. So to all of you that donated for that. We had Muffins for Mom. During the COVID, we had our first drive-through Muffins for Mom. Awesome. Moms enjoyed it. They came out, got donuts, went to church, and they were done. And Erica has our pictures of what we did, some of those. We had something called a Juneteenth, pre-Father's Day, first kickball game. Again, during that time was where we got all of you guys introduce yourself and show that we were all on the same page for the events. We also had movie in the park. Again, that's coming up March the 30th. It's a remake. 6 o'clock hit the Pavilion. So we'll be showing a movie at the park again. And I think I've wound everything down, guys. And I would just like to say to you all, I'm going to say this. I'm hoping that I didn't leave anyone out. If you're up under an umbrella, a tent, or pavilion, you're up under some of those groups that started with us and have worked with us tireless since 2011. If you've never been to that park, if you just go out there, guys, you're talking about space. If you don't like your neighbors, you don't want to be around anyone, there's enough space for you to be clear somewhere in that park, and you wouldn't be bothering anyone. But just go out and just, over 20-some acres. It's still growing, and I see positive things coming. And this committee, I want to give you a hand for supporting me. I don't, like I said, I don't have an answer, but I do have a special little token to give each one of you, saying thank you, and thank you. And I had a little card, and I'm done. There's a little card here that I found because I'm thinking about a garden. It says, this is one of those times when saying thank you doesn't seem like enough. So I present you with this flower, and I say thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. And we will be doing like the student of the month with sneak out because Williston will be playing Trenton tonight for the state championship.
She took my line. I was going to let you know if they all start disappearing, there's a basketball game.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, thank you, Miss Hapley.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for coming, all of you. Okay, we are, again, congratulations to Cornelius Williams Park Committee. We appreciate that update. And we go now to item number 3, which is additions, deletions, changes, or approval of the agenda. Ms. Wright.
Madam President, can we move item 7D up to 7A? Can 7D be 7A, please?
I have no objection. Anyone else have an objection? Okay. I will entertain a motion for approval of the agenda with that revision. To move 7D to 7A. Before 7A. Yeah, let's do it. Because we usually do a motion to accept it. So let's do a motion to change
make a
it.
motion to move item D to item A.
Before item A.
Before item A.
Perfect. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4 is public participation. If you are here tonight to talk to the City Council and you have something that you would like to say, there are 2 opportunities in our agenda to do that. And you have up to 5 minutes to speak to the Council about something that is not on the agenda. So if you have something you'd like to say at this time, please approach the podium. And I need your name and your city of residence, if you will.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening.
So, my name is Christopher Barnard. I actually stay in the new development down here in Countryland Estates. This was on a whim. A bunch of us decided to just come in quickly. We found out about the City Council meeting and decided, it would be a good opportunity to maybe just address a situation that we have at the moment. I'm sure everyone on the City Council is aware of the water and sewage issue that came up in Countryland Estates. And while we are really happy and, we appreciate the fact that it was addressed, the letter that we got seemed concerning to us, considering the fact that even though it says the calibration was correct and the water usage was accurate, and in fact that some of the meters actually under-recorded, respectfully, I have to disagree. I mean, we have people in our community that, myself and my wife, we're 2 people, we barely use any water, and from the time we actually register the utilities in our name up to the point of our first bill, we were barely even home. Having a utilities bill of, I'm speaking under correction, but 850 and change just for water and sewage seems a bit of an anomaly. We went around, spoke to a bunch of other individuals in the community. Most of them agree that, that is obscene. Most of them said that their utilities in total average at about 250, and that's including everything. So I don't know if it was just a disclaimer or, just a bit of legalese to calm us down, but basically the statement saying that it was reading accurate had me wondering whether or not the meter was reading maybe in liter as opposed to gallon, because I'm talking out of correction, but some of my some of my neighbors actually reported water usage in excess of 25,000 gallons. We had one. I mean, speaking as someone that, used to work in liters, you could probably tell by my accent, 71,000 liters is a very large swimming pool. 71,000 gallons, you could fill a large size swimming pool 3 times in a month for that amount. So, we appreciate the city looking into the matter in the first place. We are just concerned moving forward from the letter we received that the problem has yet to be, resolved factually. And the city council's discretion is appreciated in this matter. I don't know, do you want to say anything?
If you will, please state your name for the record.
My name is Janice Beva.
Thank you.
I live in Country Lane Estates also. I'm appreciative that the city has worked with us so far to reduce our bills, but I moved here and I looked at the first bill. This is the second bill that I got. I looked at the first bill. I thought I was reading it wrong. When it was telling me that I used 55,000 gallons of water. The second bill tells me that I used 71,000 gallons of water. That's what's gone through our meter. Don and I have seen each other, spoken to each other frequently, and we're at a loss at this point in time. Right now, my initial bill was $822 for all of the facilities that were used. I don't think there's anybody over in Country Lane Estates that can continue to pay $822 a month. I don't know what the answer is. I've spoken to my husband, and I think we're going to get a second meter put on right now to see if the water is being utilized in the sprinkler system rather than the house. That's the only way that I can prove to Lennar probably that they have a faulty system somewhere. It's going to cost $2,000 plus a plumber. I'd probably like to have Lennar pay for that, but we'll see about that. Don has been very forthcoming. He's tried to work with us. He's told me that the meters are correct and that the readings are correct, but I don't know where 71,000 gallons of water went. If I use 71,000, somebody else used 55,000, another person next to me used another 48,000. Where's the water going? Obviously I'm not filling swimming pools and I'm not floating away, so there's something wrong. I'd like to have a meeting if we could possibly do it with Lennar and the homeowners to find out what their statement is. The statements that they are telling me is that they are working on it. I don't know, but I told them today, I said, we have one more bill that will be reduced after that we will be expected to pay what's on the bill. They're going to have a mutiny at Lennar Country Estates. I don't know what the heck is going to happen, but I certainly would like, maybe we could get some type of a meeting going with everyone involved, whether it's Don's department, with the homeowners. If we did not know about this meeting tonight. This is just 3 of us. But there's many more out there that are receiving the same types of bills.
Right.
So my only suggestion is maybe we could get something together with them and have a meeting here and hash this out so we can not be paying $800. Thank you.
I know when Lennar put in irrigation systems, we advised them that they really should put in a separate meter for those irrigation systems. And I don't know that that's where the water's going, but it's almost got to be. I know the typical house uses what, 5,000 to 8,000 gallons of water a month. So it really shouldn't be a whole lot more than that, especially if there's one or two of you. So there's definitely, I don't think the issue is the meter though, because they have pulled those and they have tested them. I was told, I believe it's 3 meters that were under. It actually, the flowage was under what it should have been. So in other words, it didn't report as much. But all of the ones that reported other than that were accurate. The other 3 were under and shorted us. So the water's going somewhere, but you're right. There should be a pool somewhere, a puddle.
There should be some.
It's got to be somewhere.
Something.
I know we are sand hills, and it does go back into the aquifer as fast as it comes out. Do you know if your irrigation system is on?
No, all of us switched it off.
You turned them off.
I've turned them off, pulled the plug, and to top it off, when I did turn it on to look to see what sprinklers were going on, there were only 2 out of the whole.
Are the rest of them broken and leaking water? That would be my next question. Are they broken? And are they leaking water underground? That would be my next question.
Well, I have someone coming out Thursday, supposedly to look at the irrigation system.
Okay.
But
because even if you've got it turned off, if it's leaking underground, the water's still going through your meter.
It's still going through it.
Yes, ma'am. So that would be my next. But yes, if you want to hold a meeting, city staff would love to meet with you. And if you could get Lennar here, that's even better.
That would be nice.
That's about the only way we're going to accomplish something. Mr. Mayor, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam President.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. What is the cost, Donald? Or Jonathan?
The cost is referred to what?
For a irrigation meter.
So we supplied that in the letter. A irrigation meter, since the system's already tapped, is about $2,000. And
say it again.
It's about $2,000. But what we offered to do specifically and only for the residents there was to break that apart over 12 months so that it didn't hurt them as severely.
Okay. My other question is, has anybody turned all the water off to your homes?
See if it's still spinning.
Start and look to see if the meter's turning, and then start your irrigation meter with your irrigation system that only has 2, and watch the meter and see how fast it's spinning to see what water is going on.
Or get the city to turn it off and see if it still spins.
So we at Mrs. Fabek's house, we actually did that, and of like 30 sprinklers, 2 or 3 were working, and there was quite a bit that was broken.
Okay.
So
are you
we
saying
identified
that you confirmed that it was broken and not watering the property?
Well, I mean, it's watering it, but it's watering it underground.
I got it. All right, thank you.
And that means they need to fix the sprinkler system for you, because it's going to keep doing it. Yeah. If Lennar put the system.
Yes, they did.
I mean, sometimes they put the system in and then they run trucks over it.
Yeah.
Or they plant trees. Or they do whatever they do and they actually puncture it and then tear it up in the process. Because the contractors that are coming to do the trees or the sod or whatever they're doing, they may or may not even know it's underground.
Well, I'll tell you, Thursday I have Lennar coming out to look at my sprinkler system. Because, like I said, right now only 2 heads are really working.
That means the others are all leaking underground.
That's what
Something's
it
leaking
means.
underground.
Yeah. That's
So
where
I
your
would
water's
like
going.
to suggest to you that when I built my house here 18 years ago, I made the decision that I did not want to pay sewage for the water consumption. So I bit the bullet and put an irrigation meter in for watering and miscellaneous things like that. So especially if the utilities department is willing to work with you, it's a no-sum cost to install irrigation meters for irrigating. Consider it.
Okay. I know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Council.
Let us know how it progresses. Yes, sir. If you will, state your name for the record.
My name is Sean Schuler. I'm also a citizen of Williston. We moved here approximately 3 years ago. I wasn't even really sure if I was going to speak today because I kind of told myself if anyone else had a problem with the Country Lane Estates, that I would speak up. My problem isn't the water issue per se, but my house being flooded by these approximate 6-foot elevation that they put directly next to me, that I've told numerous times to not only Lennar, but I have showed videos and pictures to different members of the staff here at this office. Nothing has ever been done. My house has been flooding ever since they have elevated it, approximately over about a year and a half now. I have probably 500 videos and pictures of just the atrocity that has been happening ever since they started this development approximately 2 years ago. I have 2 small kids, 9 and 10 years old, that we cannot use our backyard because our continuous tractors, they've dredged a 3-foot hole completely around our property, then decided to fill it back in. That was supposedly, what I was told, to put a drainage system to fix the issue, but that was never fixed. They filled it back in without putting any kind of utilities, then decided to burrow twice under my frontway driveways, which is now completely cracking. After returning from the weekend, after just, we constantly don't want to be at the house. We're constantly making excuses to leave. Anytime we can get a chance to get out of it, we can. There's just nothing being done. So when I came home after this weekend, there was another water issue. Now there's a 4-foot hole going under my foundation, and the side of our house is starting to crack. I'm at the point that I have no really choice to take drastic measures to make people listen to this issue. I don't see any change now because I thought that they might have done something because of all the issues, videos, pictures, and everything else I have showed them and relayed to them what was happening. But nothing has happened, and my house is continuing to flood. The problem is on 4th Avenue, where they again elevated right next to me. I could literally see the feet of the people walking on the ground where the elevator, which used to be completely flat level with my ground. If anyone drives by it, it's pretty evident of what's going on. But once that house is constructed, which they just started doing it a couple of weeks ago, so I thought and was praying that something would happen because we do love the area. My kids go to the school. They actually go to Jordan Glen down the street, but we love the city of Williston. I've even have other families from South Florida move up to this area just because we do love the area so much. So it is unfortunate, but our family literally feels no longer safe or comfortable living in this, in our home. I don't see, because they're now building right next to us, how they're going to be able to fix the problem. So I just wanted to make the whole city council and members just aware of what is happening.
Are you in Country Lane Estates or you're across 7th
I'm
Street?
the only house that's in there that is not a part of them. So we bought it when it was complete forest
okay.
about a year after.
In the
Robbie
old
Harris's old house?
The old post
Robert
office.
Harris's old house, and I
Robbie
have spoke
Harris's
with him.
old house.
Okay.
For the longest time that he's been there, he's never had a flooding issue. The outdoor gazebo, outdoor kitchen, the pool we have is all the structural integrity of it is all it's shot. So I'm now in the pursuit of seeking legal representation because I have no other choice, because now they have started a new construction on the house directly next to us. That's literally skyscraping on top of my fence, which not only is going to be an invasion of privacy, but the flood water that comes down the street is literally going around and through my house. So I don't really know what is going to happen. It's really misfortunate, but again, I just wanted to make everyone aware of the situation and know what was happening at this point, I guess.
I was not aware. Can y'all get get Wright Pierce to go and take a look at that? Y'all know which house he's talking about?
I think most of
Yes,
the people
ma'am.
know, all the city utilities
I mean, we gotta do
people. There's
something.
been numerous
So,
conversations. I've spoken with, 20 probably different people, the members of. I could recognize probably 10 of you guys here that I've told.
I've been to the Eastmans, but I haven't been to yours. And I knew you
Anyone's welcome
weren't
to come. I can
Mr.
show 'em around.
Eastman.
Again, I might have 1,000 pictures and videos because I work from home, and it's just been a disaster these last 2 years. It was December 21st of, I think, 2021 when they started. Giant cranes coming down, knocking over their 500-year-old oak trees, not with no warning, no barriers. I've even heard of my neighbor directly across the street, one of the ditches that they left uncovered for months, his blind dog was stuck in it crying. We had to pull the dog out of the ditch. Plus, not to mention the safety of the whole community and my kids around. It's just horrendous what they're doing. No barriers, no safety precautions or measurements that have been done at all. Not to mention the 4-story burn pile that they started at the beginning of the whole thing. And I know there's a transition period between Armstrong Homes and Lennar and everything else, but the way the West to West construction has handled this, and the Lennar especially, they're just ignoring me. So I have no choice now, but to take more drastic measures. So I don't know, anything that anybody can do. I mean, I personally think the time has passed now because they've already started new construction at the part of the place that they could have altered the land.
Right.
But they literally leveled it from the hill up on the top of it, and just the topography of where the elevation is where we're sitting, the water's coming down off the street, running down and around and through our home. So
wow.
Just wanted to let everyone aware of that.
Yeah, I was not aware of it.
Yes.
I don't know that anybody else here was either.
I'm going to stay here too. If anyone has any questions or would like to see some pictures on my phone, I'd be happy to share with you.
Okay.
So, Madam President, I may add that if the gentleman would say that would be great. We would love to talk to you. I would love to see the pictures. I've not met you, so I do know the house you're talking about, and I can most certainly assure you that if there's anything the city can do to right anything that's been wrong to you, we will definitely assist you in that matter. All right.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Schuler. Okay, anything else for this public participation particular? We have another one at the end if you'd like to add anything else. All right, we're going to move then to item number 5, which is the consent agenda, which consists of the council meeting minutes of February the 6th. I would entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 6 is staff, board, and council member updates, and we will start with the city manager, Mr. Pavard.
All right, thank you, Madam President. I'll try to be brief, but just give you an update on a couple things that came to your attention in the last meeting. You know, Mr. Monroe came in here and talked about a water leak and some issues that he was having. And I don't recall the actual numbers that he had, but it was in the tens of thousands also. And so he came in the very next day and sat down and spoke to Jonathan, Selena, and Mike Miller. And we introduced him to how the electronic reading transmitter ERTs work and what the machine does. It reads them, and showed them both. And then we went out and met Mr. Monroe at his residence. I did not. They did. It was actually Jonathan Bishop and Alex Rodriguez went out and met with him, found his meter, immediately saw it was spinning. I asked him if there's anybody inside. He said no. They walked the outside of the residence, found no leak, went inside, found a major leak at his toilet. So it was just constantly flowing and running. And so he clearly understands that toilet running that way with a bad flapper valve, constantly pouring water 24/7, you know, it's just one of those kind of things he's trying to get fixed. And we will, as we always do, help with the tiered amount and the sewage and help him in that respect. So I wanted to bring that back to your attention that we met with him and took care of him the very next day. I did speak to, myself and Jonathan Bishop did speak to FDOT about the intersection on South Main down here where that little jog is. So we're working with them. They've actually kicked it up to a meeting with their safety engineers. And basically, so I don't know that we'll be able to completely correct the problem down there, but maybe we come up with something that will assist us in identifying or lighting that area. So hopefully we can minimize the number of traffic accidents we've had there. Anything, you know, the original plan involved $5 million, which they didn't have. That was to buy everything, straighten the road out, and correct it. But that's definitely out of the game. So we're working with them, and I suspect I'll give you a brief on that at the next meeting. As far as the loan goes for underwriting, the line of credit is underwriting. So we're working, moving forward with that. I suspect hopefully you'll see that at the next city council meeting, and we'll start to be able to move forward with that. So it's making some progress too. I'd also like to introduce Brooke Willis, who is our new HR director. As you know, we had a vacancy. So We interviewed Brooke. She did an amazing job. If you don't recall, she was an interim HR director for us before. And I was pleasantly pleased to see 7 people in her office this morning that didn't stop in mine and to speak to her. And so she's been very busy. And my understanding, the chief, we expect to have her, I think, full-time February the 26th. Thank you, sir. And so we'll have her over here rocking and rolling in HR. I will save the golf cart update for Mr. Bishop. And that's all I have, ma'am.
Mr. Bishop, are you next? We'll move to staff updates then.
So the southwest side is fully operational with no issues that I know of at this time. The northeast section is a total of 36 signs, and hopefully within 3 weeks or less, the northeast side will be complete.
What was that last part? I'm sorry.
Hopefully within the next 3 weeks, the northeast side will be complete.
Northeast.
Also.
Okay.
That's it.
Appreciate it. Anything else or any other updates on your behalf? Any other staff at this time? Mr. Stiegel.
Yes, ma'am. I'd just like to let everybody know that this past week the airport was awarded an additional grant for the terminal building. It's something that we applied for when we started out in this process. We actually applied for it back in 2022 when the bipartisan infrastructure law came out, and we were denied the past 2 years. But this year they actually awarded us $500,000 towards the terminal building.
Does that mean we could put our T-hanger back in?
Unfortunately, it does not.
Why not?
Because we've already got a signed contract with FDOT about the new hangar development that's going in, and a lot of that money that was transferred out was to get the building basically at its base level, completion. So this money, the money that we're getting from this new airport terminal program grant, will help us to actually complete the building in its entirety. So a couple of the add-ons that we were not going to be able to get, we will now be able to get. So the porte-cochere, the pavement, like the entire parking lot will now be repaved. And on top of that, we secured a grant with FDOT to actually get an emergency standby generator for the building as well. So with these additional funds, the building is going to be built out the way we designed it initially. So none of the add-ons that we had to take off because of cost are going to be left off anymore.
We still have a huge list of T-hangers.
Oh, we do. And I'm
need them bad.
I'm working on it, but we have to wait for state funding to come in.
$500,000 is a lot of money. It would have built too.
No, it wouldn't.
Come close.
It wouldn't have built anything like that. The cost for a T-hanger building right now is roughly $2 million. Yes, I assure you. So and that's for an 8-unit T-hanger.
That's ridiculous.
I would agree.
I can remember when they were 181.
But we're going to make every effort moving forward to continue to try to, look into finding more grants for T-hangers and other hangars on the airfield. We've got a lot of investors that are coming in and looking to build hangars, some for themselves and some to sell to other people because there's such a need in Florida. So we're working on the problem. While we may not be able to facilitate T-hangers in the immediate, we have other options to explore on the airfield.
Not for the little guy. That's what I'm worried about.
We're trying.
Okay. Appreciate that. Anything else?
That's it.
Anybody else back there on staff? Hearing none, we'll move to the council. So you're going to do announcements instead of updates? Okay. Any questions at this time in the way of updates from council? Mr. Mayor, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Then we're going to move to item 7. We're going to move D to the front. So discussion with possible action, special election for Group C and Group D seat. And tonight we have Miss Tammy Jones here with us, who can advise us, as well as Miss Wright and Miss Ballou, who know the scoop We also had a page in our packet that tells us all about it.
Madam President, if we could have Tammy come up and start the conversation regarding special election.
Obviously, the need for a special election because we're getting ready to have 2 empty seats because nobody qualified. So here we go.
So I'm definitely not the person to advise, but I definitely can have conversation about what can maybe be done.
Okay.
You know, I had conversations with Ms. Wright and Mr. Brevard on Friday, felt like Saturday, about the vacancy. So I'm passing around a sheet that outlines some of the laws in Williston Charter and also in state statutes. If you look at the front page where it says vacancy in office during term, I highlighted paragraph 2. And it states if at the time the vacancy occurs, more than 6 months remain before the next general election, the city council shall, at their next regular meeting, set a special election to be held not more than 60 days thereafter to fill the vacancy. So, we had this discussion, Ms. Wright and Mr. Brevard, about when does the vacancy occur. So that's something the council needs to decide. Is the vacancy now that you know there's going to be a vacancy come when the oath should be taken on May 14th, right? So May 14th is a set date to take office. And then at the next meeting would be May 21st. And then you could go from there 60 days. Or are you going to consider a vacancy now, knowing there's going to be a vacancy, and move forward now with a special election? So that's first question.
So that wasn't advice, was it?
I really am not the attorney. I would feel more comfortable if Ms. Kirsten would give us her thoughts.
Absolutely. So just to clarify, I know that there's been some conversation among a couple of members. I do want to clarify that the section that's being referred to right now is part of our ordinances. It's not part of our charter.
Right.
So we do have a little bit of leeway to fill in any gaps here.
Otherwise.
I think that part of the problem that we're facing is that we have a bit of a gap in our ordinances, which says what happens when just no one qualifies, not a withdrawal or a death or a removal from the ballot, but no one even applies. Our ordinances are silent to that. So my overall recommendation would be, regardless of how we proceed right now, that we make those changes in order to address this specific situation, which is not addressed in our ordinances right now, and is not addressed in many city and municipal ordinances because it is perhaps a less rare event in the past than it is now.
Exactly.
As for when the vacancy has occurred, my reading of these sections together is you sort of have 2 sections. So you have section 20-13, which is the vacancy during the term of the office. I believe that that vacancy, in my reading of Florida statute and here, occurred upon the resignation. Upon the resignation, there were less than 6 months, and so we appointed someone,
right,
and here she sits.
Right.
Then I think that we don't move into, for this issue coming up after this next general election. I believe that then we move into section 20-12. So we're no longer in 20-13 because there's no longer a vacancy during the term. We have now filled the term. Now there's just a vacancy.
Right.
That did not occur during the term. So now we just have no candidate for office. As far as how we address that, I believe that a special election is appropriate at this time. I know that our lovely clerk would love to hold our special election at the same time as our general election and save us all a little bit of money and a lot of bit of headache. I think that the council could make a determination to do that based on the knowledge that there will be a vacancy because there are no qualifying candidates. So if you're asking me for my opinion on when can we make a determination that the vacancy has occurred, because no one has met the qualifying for either of these seats that we know for a fact are going to be vacant, I believe that now is an appropriate time in order to call the seat vacant.
Perfect.
And the main reason I'm here is just to offer help, not really to make decisions. But I would like to see, if you were to have the election with us, ask you to have it on the primary election rather than the general. And the reason for that is because we're looking at a minimum of 4 amendments and a maximum of about 8. So we're going to have probably a 22-inch ballot front and back, and your city stuff will get lost on our ballot.
Yeah.
So it would be preferable to me, and I think it'd be a little closer for y'all to have it in August rather than in November. So I would be happy to work out an agreement with the city, as I always do every election. If you guys wanted to have the your election in August 20th with us. So basically the agreement would say Latricia would still do qualifying and I would do everything else. We'd have to work out the details later, but I would be happy to assist, and there would be no cost other than if an extra poll worker was needed or something, because we're already hiring the poll workers, we're already sending out the ballots. So really you'd have minimal cost to join us on the primary election.
I can tell you that I, for one, don't want to wait till August. We'd be with nobody between May and August. 2 people, 2 empty seats between May and August.
The other thing that I do want to point out is that if we decide that we're going to go in August, that we should not declare the vacancy until the general election, because we do have to call a special election within 60 days.
Yeah, I'd rather do it earlier.
So if we call it now, we'll have to hold one in 60 days, according to our ordinances, unless we amend them, which I don't know that anyone's prepared to have an election.
I can tell you that was my first thought, you know, when we first started talking about it the minute qualifying closed, was to do it as soon as possible so that we could seat them all together in May with everybody. And I don't know if we can accomplish that at this point time-wise. I think we're real close. Ms. Wright may have counted days to know if we have enough time.
So if we didn't have anybody
Yeah, if we wait till
apply
August.
initially, why do we think that we're going to have somebody apply that quickly?
I think we will.
Well, I got one guy that was going to go against you, so there is one guy out there.
But I talked with him. He said Form 6. Nixed it.
So once again,
You talked with Mr. Cerritos after you talked with him.
The gentleman who was from another county, the firefighter.
No.
This was another gentleman.
No, I talked to the guy that.
Okay.
That's Mr. Cerritos.
Yeah, I talked to him, and he is still very much interested in getting his information turned in and running in the next thing. I told him to be here again.
I do think that it caught people off guard, the late notice of the Form 6, even though it was passed during the legislation. It really didn't get out really until later, so I think you would likely have
3
candidates.
weeks to fill it out.
I mean,
before our election. That was the hard part.
The hope is that you get people to qualify and that you don't have to then turn around and have to do this again in 60 days. You know, because you could keep having qualifying over and over and over again.
Exactly. So,
and I came to you a few years ago. Definitely, the charter needs to be looked at to clarify some of this stuff. You know, I mean, who would have thought you would have empty seats? Usually, it's a very, you know, either you at least fill the seats at a minimum, but you have opposition sometimes.
Right. Yep.
I'm here to help, as I always have. I will help either way if you
Just see them conferring over there.
So what's the minimum amount of seats that we need in order to hold our sessions?
We have to have somebody for Mr. Bullock, and we have to have somebody for Ms. Martin.
Now,
She will qualify.
I have a question about that. I'm sorry. Can we reappoint Ms. Martin, because Mr. Jerry's seat really doesn't term out until December 31st?
That's a whole year.
Yeah. I know, I'm just asking, couldn't we reappoint her?
I think that I think that we've gone to the extent of our code as it exists right now for appointment, and that the appointment must end in at the next general election in May. Now, can we implement a new ordinance that allows that if no one qualifies, then we have a period that we can appoint someone? Yes, I think that that's well within our ability, but we would need to change our ordinance because right now we've maxed out where we can appoint someone.
Well, even May to December is more than 6 months.
That's correct.
I mean, that's a special election right there.
I'm not a mathematician, but that
Yeah.
sounds right to me.
Yeah. June to December 6th, so May
But if we-
definitely is.
But if we change the ordinance, then we wouldn't have to have a special election. Is that correct?
I'd rather have a special election than have 2 people. I don't know how y'all feel. I just hate to keep.
How many
people.
days is the gap between May, when the seat
August.
empties, and August 20th, and then after the August 20 election, how many days is it until they actually can take the seat? So how many days is that gap? Do we know that?
More than
Anybody?
60.
Yeah, I thought
is.
when we figured it out, it would be more than 60
Yeah.
days. We would not be inside.
So
More
you
than
would still
6 months.
be, the next meeting that you, let's say you waited till May 14th where the people would take office, your next meeting's the 21st, you would have to have an election by July 20th technically, but there's a caveat to the law in 101.75, which I might be wrong on this, but notwithstanding any provision of local law or municipal charter, that's where this might not work out. The governing body of a municipality may, by ordinance, move the date of any municipal election to a date concurrent with any statewide or countywide election. So, I don't know. I don't know if that would work or not.
Yeah, I think that we can make it such that we hold our election in August. I think that provision allows us to make these changes such that we can move it to be held on the primary date instead of the date that we normally have it. Even if it's just a temporary period, even if it's only if we have to do it for a special election, we can codify it in that way such that if there's a special election, then it'll be held in August. So I think that the point of this is there are a lot of options for you all, but what you need to make a determination of is how do you want this seat to be filled if no one qualifies? And right now, no one has qualified. And the qualifying is over, just to put us all on the same page. Do you want us to construct, and we can, a different ordinance that allows you to appoint someone for an interim and wait until August? Do you want to hold a special election as soon as humanly possible? It probably won't be 60 days, but, as soon as humanly possible outside of that. Is that what you'd like us to do? Would you like us to wait until later on, some other period of time, some third option that no one has, I haven't presented today? We can do any of these, but you all need to make a determination of what you want us to do. I can change your ordinances to allow you the power to appoint someone if no one qualifies until the next election. But it doesn't sound like that's where many people are. So I do just want to hear from you all.
I don't know anything about how anybody
But
else
the next
feels.
election would be the primary,
August.
or
You could have it sooner. If you call for a special election, you have to have the election within 60 days.
If we call for it tonight, it has to be within 60 days. I think we have the paperwork ready,
So that would be before April 20th.
which means they could be seated in May,
I don't want to.
which is when we need them to be
To
seated.
me, that's like rushing just to get anybody to have a seat in the seat. Can we hold our council meetings with?
Yes.
What's the number of
Three.
people?
Three.
So if we can do it with 3 people, we have 3 people. Let's do it the right way and allow time for people to come and want to do this and have the election.
I don't think they're not going to do it unless we put it out there. I mean, I don't think there's
Right. Let's put it out there. But why are we rushing to have it within the next 60 days? That's not really putting it out there.
It is.
That's
2
rushing
months
it.
is a long time.
It's not.
We did a week before.
And what you?
It's always a week. So 60 days is a long time. That's the way I feel about it, anyway.
Well,
If they're going
that's
to
the
do
way I
it, they're
feel
going to
about
do
it
it.
as
If
well.
they're not, they're not.
Right. So it doesn't matter whether we rush it or wait August.
Except you won't have anybody to sit in the seat. And all 3 of us will have to be here every single time.
Okay.
Sir? Who has the floor?
in May.
Who are you talking to?
And then you have 3 months.
You said you have to have all three, and I said, Meredith, you now have four. So Meredith's appointment
In May.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But it's going to
But
end.
in the St. John Minor.
Yes.
So we won't have-
We'll only have three as of May,
as of May.
which is what I'm trying to say. That's why I'd rather have an election so they can be seated in May, which is when they're leaving. We have 2 people that are not going to be sitting in their seat unless Meredith just decides to qualify, which she may, which we will hope she does. Hopefully we don't scare her off real quick.
What is the cost for the special election? Do we know that?
You're going to be paying for everything.
Approximately 2,000 or more.
And we could get something written to where we could get seats filled faster if we did it in the primary to save the $2,000, and then to get it to where maybe they could get in faster and take over
She
the
just
seats.
said she
That's
could,
what I thought.
we
right,
could
that ordinance,
we could
right?
write an ordinance, if I'm correct, so that when the term ends, that she could stay in until the primary election.
We can edit our ordinances. So let me, it seems like time and cost and who's going to be sitting are the important factors that you all are looking at. So let me sort of analyze each of the options with those criteria. Option 1 is we do not make an ordinance change. So no change to the ordinance. We keep doing what we're doing. And we hold a special election as soon as possible from now, within 60 days of tonight. Okay?
So that they can be seated in May.
Right. If anyone qualifies, they would be seated in May. No ordinance change, none of that. And the cost to us is same for that option if we hold about $2,000. If we hold that special election, because it will not be at the same time as the general election. All right? If no one qualifies under our current ordinance and we do nothing else, in 60 days we will need to hold another special election. If no one qualifies for that, 60 days after that, we will need to hold another special election. And on and so forth until either someone qualifies or we change the ordinance.
I'm for doing both. I'm for changing the ordinance, but proceeding with a special election.
I'm just sort of outlining
That's what
each of the options
hybrid.
so that you all know what's available to you. The other option is to change the ordinance such that we will also hold a special election 60 days from today. Okay, so no change there. We continue on with that. We have the cost of that $2,000 or more. And we change the ordinance such that if no one qualifies for that special election, then some amount of time can pass that we appoint someone, the board appoints someone, the council appoints someone to that seat before the next special election that we hold. Okay? So that would be the other option, to say we're going to appoint someone, but we're going to hold a special election in this period of time, and it could be August to line up with this primary. That's another option. If no one qualifies, then we would do that appointment. So if no one qualifies for this upcoming 60 days, we would do that appointment. And we would wait for the next special election. Then we would hold a special election. If no one qualifies for that special election, then we would move forward with appointing someone until the next special election. And we would continue on until someone qualifies. Okay?
I gotta agree.
Bear with me.
She's got a third option.
There are more options here. Another option that you have is to not hold a special election within the next 60 days. You wait until May, when both seats are actually literally vacant. Then you call a special election to be held within 60 days, so around about August. In the interim, no one sits in these seats. You have 2 vacant seats. in order to have a quorum, all three of you would need to show up at the same time.
Right.
We could do a variance of that where we call a special election when the seats are actually vacant in May to hold it in August. And we change the ordinance such that you all are permitted to appoint someone in the interim between when the seats are vacant in May and August.
Exactly.
I like that option.
All right.
I like the second one she said.
Well, we like the third.
I should have made a spreadsheet.
And my only request, if you were to have it on the primary, is that
I don't want to get lost in the primary.
Okay,
That's my
okay.
problem.
Okay.
They might. They obviously do because they don't want to pay.
But
your primary is going to be this
I
long.
don't think that we'll get lost
No.
in the primary.
in
Because you're this
August,
much on the whole
No,
ballot.
I was just gonna say, if
It
you were to
doesn't
do the
matter, we're on the
primary,
ballot.
I do have deadlines for
Yeah.
my ballot, which would be June 14th. That's all I was gonna say. I knew.
Okay.
So,
so the election in August, that's just a cursor to November's.
right, it's a runoff election for parties, but we elect a lot of local county people in the August election.
Big ballot.
Yeah.
It won't be as big as November.
Right.
And actually, I would not want to do it in November.
No.
So.
And more people would show out to me in August, show up and to vote in August.
Correct.
And they'll have to figure out which ballot to give to who if we do it at the same time.
Right, we would have
which is
6 ballot styles
sort
instead
of
of
hard
3.
to do.
And we do have a ballot issuer that hands out ballots, so it does put a little.
Yeah. If
It's,
you've got
it's
other
not,
people
it's
coming
not an
in,
easy move for my part, but I'm
No.
willing to do it for y'all.
if you have
want
other
that.
people coming into City Hall to vote that aren't city residents, which is
Right.
what you would if you're on the general.
It's just
if
ballot
you're-
styles, just like when a
if you're on the
Republican or
primary.
Democrat, we have to make
Be
sure we
really
give out the
careful
right
when you
ballot
give it out.
styles.
It would only be able to be printed on the citizens of city for their
The
vote.
citizens shouldn't feel anything different. It's going to be more of our office and managing the ballot styles and giving out the right ballot, which we should have a decent system in place, I believe. I believe we do.
I believe you do too.
Okay.
I mean, all they gotta do is look at the ballot.
But
or look
I
at what they're
truly
looking
am not
at.
here to help make a decision. I was just here because I was asked to be, and just to say I was here if you wanted to do the primary. That's just, but I understand you don't want to leave a vacancy, so I'm not in any
I must
way
be the only one
pressuring
who
you
feels that
to
way.
feel that
I
way.
think so.
I still like the hybrid idea better if you just listen to it.
Option 3, that we could appoint somebody to be in it until.
It is. It is.
So,
Not we, you're gone.
well, yeah, so it would actually be you 3, but on option
Yeah.
3,
Which I don't like
but
either.
that would keep the seats from being vacant during that last.
Which is what you don't want.
I would actually like to put
months.
somebody in it. That's what I'd like to do, and change the ordinance at the same time, so that if nobody qualifies, you get the same result you want.
But if nobody qualifies, then we're paying 2,000. Well,
The
whatever
qualification
it
is only an ad in the paper.
I'm not talking about qualification. I'm talking about having to have a special election. Each time.
Well,
you
if
have a
somebody
special,
qualifies,
each
though.
time you have a special election, you're going to pay that fee.
But if somebody qualifies, you have it.
That's the
Oh, yeah.
optimum word. If.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Are we throwing good money after bad?
It
Because
costs
we're
us
going
that much
60,
every time we
60,
have a
60?
city election, whether it's a special election or not.
Right.
That's what it costs.
I like the last option you presented.
I hope somebody wrote it down.
Well,
I remember it.
Which one is the last one I said?
I wrote 6 options. So
That's terrible.
He said the last one. The
well,
last one
let me see if I can get
was-
this last one straight. What we're going to do is we're going to also amend the ordinance or edit the ordinance.
Mhm.
We're going to declare the seat vacated in May. We're going to get on the August election, but we'll have to have that to you by June the 14th, right?
At noon.
And if no one qualifies, we can appoint. Then my question is till when and how long?
It would be up to you all. I wouldn't recommend more than 6 months because that's currently where you all stand with your in-term vacancies ordinance. So just to keep it really clear, 6 months.
So you would never see us or never recommend us appointing outside of that 6-month window.
I would never recommend that you appoint someone outside of, for a longer period than 6 months without holding a special election. What we don't want to do is
Progress, yes, sir.
disenfranchise your community such that they can't have an opportunity to vote, even though it is expensive. I know that that's not what you want to hear from me, but that is my recommendation as the safest course.
And I would not be within, I still am not going to be within that 6-month window, even after the August election.
Nope.
If nobody qualifies and we appoint for 6 months, that's still not going to get me until the next election.
It's still gonna get you a special election.
I'll have to have another special election,
That's
which is
correct.
what the supervisor of election and I and Ms. Wright talked about. Is it's almost like this vicious cycle of special elections, special elections, special elections, special elections, which is what obviously I would want to avoid.
I have a question.
I think Mr. Schuler's gonna sign up tomorrow. He's ready to be up here with us.
Ms. Deborah, Madam President.
My
Councilmember
question is, if I qualified to help fill the seats during the gap between May and August, could I be, or me or somebody else be appointed just for that window so that there isn't a 3-person board from May until August? Could there be a shorter term?
If we have a qualification period and you qualify, you'll have a 2-year seat.
But between May and August, I would not be sitting on council, and I guess my question is, could I be appointed for that window of time?
If we change the ordinance.
Right, just
If we change the
if we
ordinance.
change the ordinance,
Correct.
just so that there would be.
Which was option 3.
Right, okay.
And
I
option
believe
2.
there were a
It was
couple of
also
options
option
with
2.
ordinance change.
Option 2 gets you qualifying period and an ordinance that changes in case nobody qualifies. That's why I'm for it.
Can I just say?
I wish you would, because I know what it's going to be, but just go ahead.
No, I was going to say that if we did move it to August, that would give us enough time to talk to different people.
We've talked to everybody we know.
But that still give us enough time. There might be more people out there willing to come in and talk with us about being on the council and what the duties are. So.
Excuse me. In 60 days, we should all be ready. I'm ready. What is it? I've been just waiting for it.
Let me just, before you make your motion, Councilor Hines, has anybody considered why? Are we really going to blame this on Form 6?
Yes.
Is that really the fallback position? I don't agree with that. There's other reasons why people are not sitting on this council. It's not just Form 6. Form 6 has been around for a long time. There have been a lot of people doing it. I think that there is other things at play, and I'm going to jump right out here. These counselors are horrifically underpaid. And they put in a lot of hours, and they are not remunerated as low as the lowest paid person in the world for the hours that they are asked to put in. And we want to conveniently blame all this on Form 6. I just think that we are living with blinders. That's all I have to say. I yield the floor to you, Councilor Hines.
On that note, I want to be super clear. Appointing someone, they will still have to fill out the Form 6.
Yes.
So there's no getting around it. If they're sitting up here with us, they're filling out the Form 6, no matter how they got there.
All right, so somehow in all this, I've got extremely confused.
I don't understand how, because I think it's all very clear.
I want to seek advice from you, and you. Well, as far as the meeting that y'all had, what is the best for the city of Williston moving forward in y'all's opinions?
Can I go first?
Yeah, and you. Yes, you're one of those four.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. All four.
All right. I like the last option that Kirsten presented to the council, and only for the reason that it gives me time to make sure that I have all of my election stuff correct.
What a phenomenal memory you must have, because I haven't got the last. Could you repeat it?
I believe that what we are all addressing as the last option is the option where we change the ordinance to allow you the ability to appoint someone for a 6-month interim if there is no one that qualifies, and that we declare the seats vacant in May and hold a special election in August.
August 20th. So, your profession will.
That's the last option that I gave.
The very last.
All right,
Can I make an option?
I still don't understand how we can do that if the
to.
charter
Can I make
says
a-
we can't.
I make a motion that we go with the very last option that Attorney Ballou stated, which was for us to change our ordinance, make our seats vacant in May, and then appoint somebody from May until August, have a special election in August
If
for
nobody
any
qualifies.
qualified candidates. So that is by.
If nobody qualifies.
Yes.
You wouldn't appoint them
If
somebody
nobody
Right, if no one
Yes.
qualifies. Yes.
For only 6 months.
So if nobody qualifies, there will still be 2 vacant seats from May until August.
what it amounts to, unless we can get the ordinance before then. I don't know how you can change it by ordinance if it's in the charter. That's my whole question. If it's in the
Because
charter
there's a
that you do it
vacancy.
one way, how do
There's
you
a-
change
there's
it?
a-
So there are a couple of, I think that you all have this in front of you here, this little packet of stapled together papers. Probably not. Okay, so then I'll just read it to you.
I made a
Unfortunately.
motion, but we're still have conversation.
What?
Nobody seconded it.
So
The president has not asked for a second.
I haven't what?
Asked for a second.
I don't have to ask for a second.
No, ma'am.
If somebody wants to give a second, they could give it. I thought Ms. Ballou was still addressing the council.
no, she was helping me with the motion.
I asked her a question, though. I didn't get an answer to my question.
In the middle of the motion.
All right, well, then somebody wants to second it, they can. I'm not stopping them. I'll call for a second. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
This is the discussion.
Yes,
I asked the
discussion.
question, how can you change it by ordinance if it's in the charter in a different way?
So you have 2 provisions that address this exact issue. So Florida Statute 101.75, which states in subsection 3, notwithstanding any provision of local law or municipal charters, which means regardless of what your local law or charter says, the governing body of a municipality may, by ordinance, move the date of any municipal election to a date concurrent with any statewide or countywide election. And then you also have that, pretty much that same...
Would have been helpful to have this earlier. You would not hear my argument if I had had it earlier.
Okay, well, that is the provision that allows you to do this.
I did not see it before.
Exactly, yes.
All right, any further discussion?
Is the ordinance going to have when qualifying is?
The ordinance will lay out.
And
when
that'll
the
be
qualifying
decided
period
later
will be.
once you come back to approve that ordinance.
The ordinance will say when qualifying is?
For the additional special elections that will be called after that, since we're saying this is...
It'll just say...
I don't believe that it'll be changed from what's currently in it. It says we have currently that the supplemental qualifying period shall end at 12 noon on the 5th business day after the beginning of the date of the supplemental qualifying period, which shall begin no less than 9 days after the notice is published. So it's already in the ordinance when each of these qualifyings will be for the special election, so it'll be in there. We're just amending to give us the ability to appoint if someone does not qualify. So that'll be the only change.
I would also comment that by moving seats from one place to the other, like we appear to be doing, or thinking about doing, it puts the next set of seats in rotation really close to that. That would just be my comment. Because we have elections every year, and by moving them 6 months by 6 months by 6 months, it's going to get really complicated. I just throw that out there.
All the more reason that when they do the charter review, that gets changed to either 3 or 4 year terms.
Well, the
That's what
nice
other
thing was, I will say the
municipalities
nice thing
do.
about Williston is y'all run for seats. And that's what I'm trying to get other cities in Levy County to do. Because when you run for a seat that has 2-year term, it's going to be a 2-year term minus the lack of the few months. And then for Meredith's seat, assuming she's taken Jerry's or assume she qualifies for that seat, it's literally whoever gets that seat's going to have to run again in January.
Right.
I mean, you're kind of going to get back on track based off of what seat the people run for.
Yeah.
You might run for a short seat. You might run for a 2-year seat.
It's going to be a nightmare.
Exactly. So
it's actually
you get
really
back
good the way
to-
y'all do it.
Yeah, you get back to the same one because when you say in 12 months someone qualifies, you're just qualifying if that's for a seat that's been vacant for whatever is left in that seat. So you're not having to do an entire new cycle of elections.
I know, but what I'm saying is the ones that you're appointing will make you real close to the next ones that are having to run. So what if you get to the point where you're appointing everybody 6 months? Or 3 or 4 people every 6 months, and nobody's really got a permanent seat. It's going to get crazy. I know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Mr. Hardison. All right, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. I would say nay. So I'm not in favor of doing that. I want to have an election. I oppose, yes. All right. All right, we're going to thank you, Ms. Jones. We appreciate you. Item 7A, Resolution 2024-25, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, to approve a 100% paid grant from the State Fire Marshal's Office, Florida Firefighter Assistance Grant Program for $47,500. The grant is for 5 scuba tanks and masks. Chief Stigall.
I'll make this really quick. It's $47,000 free dollars of equipment. Do you want it or not?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion for
I'll
resolution.
make a motion to approve resolution 2024-25.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7B, Resolution 2024-26, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, reappointing Mr. Matthew Belfer for a 3-year term beginning February 1st, 2024 and ending February 1st, 2027, and reappointing Mr. Richard Morando for a 3-year term beginning March 1st, 2024 and ending March 1st, 2027 to the Planning and Zoning Commission and providing an effective date. Ms. Jones.
They've both been on the board for 3 years, and they would like to renew it.
My question is, why is their month different?
They're different seats.
But the seats should be the same month, just a different year.
They're all different seats. Probably for the similar reasons that they were taking vacant seats. None of them are quite adding up. And the Board of Adjustments is not supposed to. That has a totally different...
I know they don't all add up, but they should be the same month.
I'm just going by my spreadsheet. When they were elected last time, so I thought I'd get them both knocked out at the same time.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-26.
Second.
Thank you.
Have a motion and second. In further discussion. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I just ask that you check the dates. You can roll your eyes at me, but please check. I mean, just go back and check because they were all like 3 one time for the other. They were not. Mr. Belfour may have been appointed separate, but his term should have been the same.
For the Board of Adjustments, we do it that way. For Planning and Zoning, it's not exactly the same.
Okay. It used to be.
It was before we
That's
had
why
a lot
I'm
of
asking
empty
the
seats.
question.
Yeah.
Because I've been on there before, twice. All right, item number C, Resolution 2024-27, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the salary adjustment for the city manager. Ms. Willis.
Thank you. So the resolution is before you.
based on your agreement on the evaluations of City Manager Bavard.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-27.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8 is public participation. We're back to that location. If you have something you'd like to say at this time, this is your second opportunity. Anybody online, Mr. Mills? All right, we'll move to announcements, and I'll start with Ms. Hines. Okay, Mr. Bullock, I heard you say you had something.
Yeah, I wanted to thank the city manager and anybody involved. I think Bishop and possibly Barbara on fixing that road, the nursing home. He went by and looked at it, said it was absolutely excellent, that the guys did a great job. So they're extremely happy there. Assuming the sidewalk is good too at the, good. Thank y'all, everybody involved. I appreciate it. The signs for the golf cart stuff, thanks again. Y'all are hammering that out. We know it's tough because y'all have got full-time jobs on top of running around and putting up signs, but once again, thank y'all for that.
Mr. Mayor?
I have nothing.
Okay, Mr. Cox? Ms. Morgan?
I'm just delighted to be here. Thank you.
We're glad to have you. Mr. Ballard? Yeah, no, please don't. Ms. Ballou? Yeah, Ms. Wright?
I just want to inform you all that a federal complaint was filed with the United States District Court regarding Form 6. I will forward everybody this email.
Yeah, you had to pay $10,000 each to get in the suit. And a lot of people did. $10,000 to be a claimant, to pay for the attorney. Yeah.
That was 1 hour paid.
Somewhere else, not here. That's 2 years. That's 2 years pay here. Maybe 3. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause from anybody? All right. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. We will adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
None.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We will adjourn at 7:39. Thank you for coming.